Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we bring you cutting edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities. And guess what? We're doing it again tonight. I don't know if you know, Mac's going to put it in the chat. Augie and I have done these two documentary ish YouTube videos, maybe 20 minutes at the most, but really fascinating. One was on the moon, pictures of the moon, and the other one was Mars. And if you go and look at them, especially you'll be inspired after tonight's show. If you go and look at them, be prepared, because if you haven't come to the realization yet that everything that we were told is not really the way that it is, when you see the pictures on the moon, when you see the pictures of Mars, it's going to be a little bit more of an awakening kind of experience. So before we get started, I want to invite you to connect with us. You can connect with us at broadcastteamalpha.com. You can meet with us on Sundays for the Mastermind Connection. It is a fun, it's about an hour talk and like a guided imagery, if you will, right? I'm going to try and explain it to you. A bunch of amazing people who think outside of the box, who think about going into the quantum realm. We agree on things that we would like to see manifest on the planet, in the world, right? In the universe. And we agree upon them, and then we relax. We slow our brain waves down, and through beautiful imagery and feeling, we go together to the place where we imagine all that. And then the quantum realm, right? The quantum realm. And then we wait to see if it really does manifest in the world, or wherever it was that we projected that thought to. It's a beautiful hour with incredible people. And we've seen some miraculous things happen. It's always for humanitarian or beneficial reasons. And it's just amazing. So if you'd like to join us for one of those, it's Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern. You can send an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Augie will send you the link. You can jump in. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. If you really like us and you like the group, we have a chat that happens at 3 p.m. And some other really cool things happen. So we'd love for you to join us there. Okay. Long-winded. Augie, please tell us about our really interesting guest.
Okay, I sure will. I want to expand just for about another 11 seconds on what Nori said.
You're on the
because
clock.
we are really doing some incredible. Oh, she's timing. We're doing incredible things there. We actually bend the laws of physics sometimes. We have created some things, good things that normally would not be possible according to the laws of physics. So maybe you have interesting ideas coming out of that one. So come and visit and check it out. You just might like it. Sorry, that was probably about 13 seconds. Anyway, we have a wonderful guest with us. We have Gary Leggiere. And he calls himself the Mars Revealer. And he surely are. He probably know a lot more than about Mars than both Nori and I and a lot of people altogether, because he studied it close for 25 years. By the way, also he calls himself the Mad Martian. And there may be more to that than we actually can think, because he's been so fascinated with Mars for a very long time. It would not surprise me one little bit if he had a lifetime on Mars sometime in the past. That would not surprise me. And yeah, he's been an independent researcher, and he's also an image processor and analyst of images. So not much will escape that keen eye on pictures. He also has a radio show that is called The Martian Revelation And that is on Saturday nights, and we'll have him talk about that so you get the exact time for it. The Martian Revelation Show is what the name of the show is. And there he shows pictures and new discoveries that he's coming up with. And there's always new discoveries, because in the gigapan pictures that NASA revealed out of Mars, it is so detailed, so far away, that once you start blowing up the pictures, you see stuff in it that should not be there. And that is interesting. In his discoveries also, though, he tries to stay with the facts and the truth and lesser of speculation. But then again, speculation brings up new thoughts that can bring us down different avenues to new discoveries. So that's not all bad either. And he's a strong proponent of, we need to know. The cover-up must end. So today, let's make a space cadet out of everybody. So welcome to the show, Gary.
Welcome, Gary.
Hey, Nori. Lucky, thanks a lot for having me on. And everyone else out there, welcome to the bazaar. That's all I could say. And I'd like to bring up a point. The name Mars Revealer is crazy, as some may say that I would be. Again, you mentioned also the Martian Revelation Show. Yeah, it's crazy, different, but yes, definitely out for the truth and fighting for the truth, and a proponent for ending the cover-up of Mars. What's the cover-up? Well, we'll be getting into that, but I want to bring up, touch base on the name, the Mars Revealer, through some experiences I have had. And I'm not going to say abductions, but you could just say experiences. I have been titled that by them. All right. They told me that I would discover other faces of Mars, and that I have a job to do. And that's just keeping it short. Now, the Mad Martian, that is what man named me. And I ran with it because so many people liked it. It does have kind of a cliche-ish type catch to it. As an identity person, which, I am mad anyway, with which titled that name to begin with. Yeah. So as you guys get to know me, hopefully in time, tolerate me and whatnot. I'm not a scientist. I don't have the credentialed abbreviated letters after me, and you don't have to, regards to studying surface imagery of Mars. You touch base on what can be seen in the rover pan images on what's on the surface. I have been a proponent mainly of orbital imagery, looking down with a bird's eye view, get off this planet and study what's on the surface of another, especially when I see things that should not be there, that mainstream and NASA do not like to talk about, yet they keep on pushing the search. Is there life? Is there life? But yet they won't send any experiments for it. But it was detected in 1976. Aboard Viking orbiters of a visage, of a face looking up at you from the surface. I guess I should start sharing screen, because I'll just show pictures as we talk, as I know we are pressed for time. But it's funny, Augie, that you bring up just maybe I may have had a life on Mars, and you may not be wrong there according to some of my experiences, but then again, I would have to walk away with almost experiences as if compared to like what I could relate to, what I see even in the Bible. And it's hard for me to put my finger on it without going insane. And that's just one of many, but I'll just say, and anything's possible, but the eye is on me down through time, regardless, and more than one world. And that's a lot to put on one's shoulders, especially when you didn't ask for none of this crap, And life is life, it is what it is. But now I'm sharing screen now, 1976. I don't know. Hopefully you all can see that. That's the famous 35A72, the face of Cydonia, the face of Mars. That's correctly processed and not over contrasted without all the, the dots on it that they love to show and never show the processed imagery and how it looks, so. And this was also taken later that year, which is the same feature. They said it went away. It was just a trick of light and shadow. By the way, I'm writing a book, everyone, The Faces of Mars, Beyond Mere Tricks of Light and Shadow. And book one is going to be solely focused on the face of Cydonia. So this one's 7813. But again, you know, it's pretty incredible when you consider, do you see my mouse?
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be a mom.
All right.
We just assumed it would be easy. So speak up if you're having trouble.
What is that? I'm hearing a commercial.
Visit fertilityoutloud.com.
Is there someone playing a commercial ad or something? That ain't me, I don't think. But anyway, my mouse is over the face of Cydonia here, and that is 1.5 miles long by 1 mile wide, just the face itself. So that's good to consider when you see all these other features around it, to scale it to how far and how large many of these features are in size, even larger than the face. For instance, here's the famous 5-sided D&M pyramid. And that, so this is the area of Cydonia that has mainly become famous for this type of thing, which was thrown in the realms of Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. And but yet again, international mission after international mission is there, and currently now the commie Chinese, they're all seeing what's really down there. Look, people, you want to know the crux of it? They're not really looking for life. They're trying to prove Darwinian evolution in front of your eyes on the surface, while the real mission and goals is to study what's seen on the surface by, like what you see here from 1976, looking up at you from the surface. That's what they're really looking at. Okay,
And
but
you know, Gary,
yes, sir.
you know, if we look at this picture, I see about 5 different pyramids in the Cydonia picture. If you go back to that one, could you see those pyramids also?
Where? Right here?
Yeah, and it's down. We have the D&M pyramid, and then up about 320 degrees from there, there's another pyramid right there. And then if you go down to the bottom, there is one that's hard to see. There you go. There's another pyramid. And over to the right of that one, there is another pyramid. It is all
funky. They're definitely funky. Now, when you consider pyramids, people they think of the ones in Egypt and the typical ones we see here on Earth. But there is one pyramid on Earth that correlates of why you would consider pyramids on Mars actually being pyramids. Because if you notice, these have various sides and different shapes and sizes to them, correct? Well, when you look at the Bosnian pyramid, even though not exact, they are similar. It's similar to the D&M pyramid. And I don't have the imagery here. Maybe next show or something, if I'm, when you guys have me on, we could get into that to look at comparisons. But it's not far-fetched. The Bosnian pyramid's not a 4-sided pyramid either. It has been used and fused with what I call artscapes. The whole Bosnian region, I had Jock Doubleday on, who was a big part of the Bosnian Bosnian pyramid complex, the videographer. He believes that whole area has been done. It has been artificially made. And that's why, I love Jock, man, because he gets it. And then when I bring up about Mars and show there, I said to him on the show, hey, if we were to buy everyone out, kick out everyone of the area after buying them out, not just usurp their homes, dig up the entire region of dirt, bring it wherever, make new businesses, doing other things, we would see the artificialness of the whole region, of the whole valley, what's under all of that dirt and dust and, erosion and, just composition over the years. Because before, when the Bosnian pyramid was in its heyday, it did not have trees and dirt and grass on it and around it. Even the rivers themselves were intelligently modified. So that's a great example here on Earth to consider in that light. When you're looking at stuff like here, let's say in Cydonia, and what we're going to see later, it's not far-fetched to put 2 and 2. Now, does that make a connection between us and Mars? The question's still out on that, right? People want to say, well, it's us. I think it's higher than human. We might not even have been here when all this went up there on Mars. It may be somehow connected. or happened upon at a different stage, or did we go in our early past to Mars, or it was the exploded planet? Was Mars once its moon? And that life from there, because according to the Anunnaki, our planet was a part of its top half of that planet. But again, all this is crazy, right? But they're all different puzzle pieces on the board, because it just shows, like my friend Dr. Gil Levin, God rest his soul, life is universal. And that's what his experiments and his theories were out to show. And NASA ran completely the other direction. Again, 1976, the Viking landers replicated each other's tests twice, 4,000 miles apart. Life, it detected life twice, replicated each other's tests twice. Ever since, they did not want to ever, all right, it's no longer search for life, but only the search for possible signs of possible past life. We're never going to send another experiment. Water, water, water. But not just did you see this face looking at you, not just did you see the landers detect life, but Augie, you and I touched base off air about this. Mars, long ago, was also nuked. That's right, people. It was nuked. It was an intelligent force created an intelligent design weapon and blew it up at 2 different spots, according to Dr. John Brandenburg, above Mars's surface, which is what we do here on Earth today. We blow them off above cities underground to get the greatest amount of damage. And its telltale sign of evidence, scientifically and chemically, is xenon-129. You cannot get that through any even natural nuclear, whatever that correct term is, detonations, or only through a weaponized intelligent means, a weapon of war, as it was. You can only get that signature. And or just blowing them off, on the Earth, but it was, we don't use them here as a means of war. We ended Japan's crusade against the world too at that point. And thank God they woke up to that, the horrors of that. But think about 180 million years ago. This region is one of the detonation spots for the weapon of Mare Acidalium. So it was big enough to where it went, blew up, and where this Cydonia sits, that it definitely had blew over Cydonia in the explosive. So was that enough to destroy the atmosphere? Possibly. They have several models of what did that, but mainstream wise, they don't push the nuclear aspect, though. They told Brandenburg it's okay, tell the public, because he was nervous when these findings were being, detected and, talked about and proven. They tapped him on the shoulder, who? DOD and abbreviated agencies. Go ahead, publish it. Oh, I publish it? Okay. But the moon, classified. Because he's also been on aspects and classified missions with the moon, DOD, etc. He's, Dr. John Brandenburg. You should get him on sometime. But
you got some more pictures there too, don't you?
Oh, definitely. So this is Viking. This is Mars Express, the image you see now. You can see the tattoo. It's not collapsed, and if you look closely, it's not even any sand or dirt. I believe it's all metallic. It's been artistically sculpted. In fact, you want to hear something else crazy? Mars is artistically sculpted on an entire planetary scale. That is what they are seeing. That is what they're trying to play down. That is why they keep trying to compare Earth to Mars, and you can't. There's no comparison. They're not going to tell you that Mars has been artistically done up. Okay, they're not. But you can see that fact by studying Cydonia and working your way out and around, and many other sites it leads you to. Now, granted, it does look like it has a lot of whoop-de-doos.
Yeah.
Now, NASA gives out the MRO's context image like this. Okay. And people were accepting it. They tried to make it look as Viking-like as possible, right? From the first image we've seen, but yet here's my processed image. Same image. Where's the Data Quality Act? Why aren't they processing these images as they should? They're leaving it to us, the public, to figure it out. They're not teaching us. They're not saying anything. The data's out there. I call it obfuscation, steer away from it, but the data is being given, don't ask, don't tell. Many people get ridiculed. But as you can see, there's plenty of detail there. And again, 1.5 miles long, 1 mile wide, 1,500 feet high. Okay, is this particular feature. So here's a different image, different sunlighting angles, the way you get to see different things at different times.
Mm-hmm.
It's really incredible. Now, they gave out a color image that Graybeard took in, I think, 2001 or 2003 when he released it, but he never released the color version. He did with ESA in 2006. But long story short, it'll be in my book, and it's also out there on the net. I just said, there's something wrong with this. So I did, a little bit of enhancement processing on it, processing enhancement. I don't have the raw, so I can't say I fully processed it. So I processed, enhanced it, just did further processing, and lo and behold, what a difference. What a difference.
Wow.
What a difference. But if you look closely, you can see what I bring out is there, faintly seen. It's like what they did in Viking. They turned the blue skies red, want you to believe that Mars sky is red when it's in fact blue. And today's imagery shows you clearly of that as well. So I'm just going to keep going in pictures here. But the point is that Mars is so full of life, possible signs of possible life. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Nori.
What do you see in that last picture that you enhanced? What do you see?
What do I see in that?
No, the one before that, that you enhanced. Yeah, that.
All the colors that are revealed, I bring out here.
Yes.
You can see here. Now, not only do I not see something as natural, I don't even see something that's naturally formed, shaped. This thing looks metallic. I always said, that the colors would help bring out the tattoo more.
Yeah.
And it does, and the material's not dirt and sand. This is metal and various materials, paint. I'm going to say, I don't believe it's paint, but the colors, it would be from whatever and all materials that they have used. And it doesn't end here. If you follow all the details, it continues away from it. And these features, some people like to say the face is collapsed. No, it's not. You can follow the lines. You can follow the art.
Yeah.
If things were collapsed, you wouldn't have nothing, no art to follow. You see, so you cannot have one without the other. But again, a lot of people have a perception. I've been studying this face for many years, so there's also a difference. Not just looking at it for 10 minutes, saying, "Oh my God," and then, like you said, the attention span of a goldfish or less, and just never mind. When this is the biggest thing facing humanity right now that they want to keep us from seeing, let alone going. And it's really incredible. And the face of Cydonia, in fact, is not alone. There are others like this image that this guy's pointing to from a video called UFO Diaries, is not in any NASA public archive. Again, not in any NASA public archives, Viking or otherwise. These are Viking imagery. For the time this video was made in '93, we didn't have anything except but Mars Observer that was lost precisely at 6 p.m. when this video was made. All right. And these are screen grabs from the video I put together to see the whole scene. And he's pointing at this image where he says, "This image from the planet Mars. What's the problem here? Why isn't this in any NASA public archive?" And most people would say that they wouldn't know what they're looking at. Well, so what? That's the face of Mars. No, it's not. Here's the face of Mars. They put an example of it right next to it so you can see it is not the same face.
Mm-hmm.
The have similar signature, which I call Martian archeological technosignatures of intelligence, rather than extraterrestrial, obviously off-world. So let's just, Martian archeological technosignatures. And it would have been incredible if we would also gotten these images back in the past. But Dr. John Brandenburg has made a report on this, video on these faces that's on the facesofmars.com, the facesofmars.com, my show info page, where that preliminary report can be read and seen through a YouTube video. So you have to pause it and has music, blah, blah, blah. But it's very important. At the time that he did it, he wasn't allowed to go forth with these things, especially about the nuclear weaponry in 2006, 2007, when he did it under an unknown name. But he came onto my show in 2018 and told everyone he was allowed, and he was the author of the preliminary report of this. And his conclusions were that these images are authentic and were part of the later Viking images that was taken of special things that the DOD and others would want to have seen as the Vikings were losing their, as they would crash, basically, you know, they would get closer to the surface. Here's another one. Again, here's the face of Cydonia. Here's the face of Cydonia. Here's this. And notice the watermark, like a 35A72 has on it, a watermark. I processed all the Viking image archives. Literally took me an hour, a year and a half. Now, an hour and a half, I wish. A year and a half. Now, many of those images I have found watermarks on. Now, one makes you wonder, how would water have gotten on the lens? Well, it's not on the lens, it's in the lens. Meaning what? It's inside the system. And I have found many Viking images where that has up to 25 watermarks, which tells me that where did the water come from? It didn't come from Earth as it was leaving. It was protected. It was covered. They certainly didn't send it with water trapped inside the lens. So when it was going around Mars, water was getting in. Think about it. But anyway, so this is a different phase. Again, not in the NASA public archives. And very interesting. Notice the black triangle, shadows. These guys, when they say trick of light and shadow, people don't understand it's a half truth. That doesn't debunk it. It means that those who created this stuff on the Martian surface, especially if they sculpted up the entire planet, like I believe they did artistically, they would know the exact positions of light, what is supposed to be seen when, and whether it's a minute of the day, hour of the day, time of the season, time of the year, time of its precessional orbit. And they would have had to have all that in mind when they constructed the things that we're seeing in these images would reveal. So it's really interesting, and how the angles of light. So tricks of light and shadow is, again, it's not a debunction. Here's another one from that video. Very incredible. Okay. And again, no answers. I will say who provided them, because it was an investigation. I don't want to get into that. Richard C. Hoagland. He was in more than a third of this video. He provided them according to the producers. He set me up and destroyed my show and life over it, but that's okay. I'm not getting into it. And he still will not answer it to this day. All right. But the question remains, is the greatness and the need and the obvious demand to ask questions and get answers about them. Again, it took me literally a year and a half. Every Viking orbiter image I had to process, and these aren't in them. Why? Dr. John Brandenburg tells us, because of their provocative nature.
Yeah, they are.
Back then, that would ask me, okay, well, how about now? I want them. So I've been on the hunt ever since, through modern Mars imagery and the missions, studying that surface intently. Here's a different one. I'm just gonna, talk. But the importance of all this is that there are things there that is beyond, let's look for microbes. Let's look for drip, drip, drip. Let's keep comparing Mars, like apples and oranges, to Mars to Earth. And it's not working when you see the enormity of the things of what we see there and what they're seeing, of why they would want to keep sending missions there. Okay. And because there's intelligent stuff there. There's things that baffle the human imagination, and the technology and the place of intelligence of where they were to build one of these structures, let alone carve up an entire planetary surface, makes me believe that they're higher than human intelligence, but yet they were nuked. Were they nuked by themselves or from another world or from some other galaxy? And the fact of the matter remains, are they still out there? Well, it was 150 million years ago. So what? Some other solar systems, and they have longer lives. Whatever intelligences may exist out there, time and space, if they know how to cross both, whether something's been 180 million years to us, for all we know, it could only be 1,000 or 100,000 for them to come back and forth. How do we know they're not coming back? I mean, you know, I mean, I'm not Einstein, but if you look at Back to the Future movies and other time travel movies, you can kind of get the concept of where I'm going here. If you have those abilities, time is irrelevant.
That's right.
You know, so it begs the question and the need for a space force for those possibilities alone, let alone what we're faced with, pun intended, on the surface of Mars. I believe that by what I'm seeing there, you know, there are those that believe this may be more Bronze Ages or Stone Ages. I don't believe so, but I believe that this was all designed, at least laid out from above, and that, well, if you had that option, how do we know they left? They could be under the surface. The listeners to my show could appreciate, maybe you all too. I call them the subsurface illegals. Sounds like they need some freedom, right? So, I mean, it's all bizarre. Now, I can see how some might be frightened by some of this, but then again, look, you got people want to kill you. You got your own governments want to kill you. I mean, what's more scary? Something to look at that at least, you know, it's always the unknown. That's always the scariest thing of anything, right?
True.
And when you see things like this that you've never seen, well, you got to get to know it more. We got to go study it, and it doesn't cancel out our desire, fear or no. We have the nuts as humans to go and explore, to ask questions. That's what science is about, and we need to get the answers, especially for what we're faced with on Mars, pun intended, many more ways than one. Because again, it has something to do with wow. Okay, that meant to be C4 out. But anyway, that is this. But anyway, so now, are they human? I don't know. Are they human-like? Possibly. We do see characteristics, but then again, we see characteristics of different things, of hominid type. Who knows? I mean, I don't have those answers, but again, unless we understand the mindset and of the imagination and the technology and the understanding of math and geometry and other things that all come in together and how to create something on a planet-wide surface, let alone just a town size or region size. Right. But when you think of a global-wide scenario, it ups the ante, and it just asks many more questions. But that don't mean that we try to cover it up like they have been.
Right. So my question is, are these like hieroglyphics? Are these like communications? I mean, I know you can't probably answer that 100%, but what do you think they are?
I have my speculations. I do believe, because many of them, they seem to be like split art iconography, like if you're familiar with George Haas and the Cydonia Institute and others, he focuses on the iconography of the split faces, Maya glyphs and stuff like that, and where things look so weird, and you would have to split them and mirror them under each side onto itself, and then you'll see like each side's representation, whether it's a hominid, a man or an ape, or a feline or a lion, but you can't tell that really until you fully split it. Now, on Mars, we do have that potential connection, of why I say there may be also an earthen connection to that mindset, because how is it two worlds apart? We're seeing that iconography exempling now, but that, I guess another intelligent race could have figured something like that out. I don't know. But again, the Anunnaki, though, remember their story, you know, and they were part of South America and all over the world, according to Sitchin's decipherings, they also were at Mars. So that may not be a far-fetched jump, but remember, the Anunnaki were not human.
Right.
Well, we were made in their image, and I'm a Christian. I'm not going to be, you know, I'm looking at all sides of the scenario. Nothing destroys my faith and whatnot, but if anything, it would expound it when all more is revealed, good or bad. you know, but I still find it a fascinating thing. So yes, what would it house? Yes, messages, communication, even the global network of the sculpted surface of Mars may be throwing out messages all the time. In fact, that kind of was proven already. In the 40s, a flash was seen coming off of Mars from Aram Chaos area. 40 years later, a team of Japanese seen the same flash. I theorized about that myself, that periodically it would throw off flashes, maybe for someone in another solar system, or from who knows how far, as long as they can look in, maybe to check the status of the planet, to check the status of the solar system, to check, you know what I mean? Because of getting their beacons, as it was, and these light by the art, I'm sure it would throw off messages of status or positioning and whatnot. And when they know something is supposed to be seen, I guess it also depends upon your line of sight. So they could be from, east, west, north, south, wherever you're at. If you know how this works, that lingo, that techno-signature works, you could, and you have the ability to leave your signatures, techno-signatures on other planets and other solar systems as a continued scientific study. And I know I'm primatizing that, but I'm just saying it's possible. You know what I mean? It's not far-fetched when you could have that type of, now, would that be a type 1 civilization? Type 2? I don't know. That's the bigger minds. But the fact of the matter is that we have seen consistent signs already of that being done. And that could be even predicted. Now that we have more than one or two, you can start predicting them, and people would just have to keep following it. But it would have to be published, because they're doing everything they can to squash out all this intelligent designing techno-signatures, and they want you to believe they're looking around for amoebas and microbes, but they're not. They're looking for past life, possible past life. How can you detect past life if you can't even detect present life? That seems like a problem and a disconnect. And it's you don't have to be a scientist to ask those questions, and so it's very important, because a lot of these things of what we're seeing in these images, this wasn't done yesterday. This was all here, most likely, most definitely, at the time it was nuked, 180 million years, and then who knows how long before that, and maybe even some after that, for all we know, right? So again, it's not far-fetched, and we can only get a glimpse into our past on what is here on Earth. People are going to keep going. I'm sorry.
You also have, I'm sure you got some other more revealing pictures also of something that is undisputable, like the pyramids on Mars. We can understand the pyramids don't build themselves; somebody had to do it. And then again, we have there are tubes underneath the surface that is somewhat visible. You're familiar with those?
Oh, of course. I call them tunnel tubes. I didn't add any of those into this. That would have been good. Again, maybe next time, or if and when you guys do another documentary thing, add into it. I would love to also add some to that, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
So but definitely, and those are just as intriguing as the type of things we're seeing readily on the surface, because these things come in and out of the surface, they meander around features, and it's like what came before, the chicken or the egg comes in, and people try to answer naturally. But when you think of an art sculpted surface, and what may have went on the surface at the same time and or under it, it brings up many possibilities, and we need to get there and study this more. And there are those who are studying it, but I believe what they're not giving us, and what I'm just going to speculate, I'm not sure, I say they haven't or should put on LiDAR. We need LiDAR for sure on these on this image data, because it's, I don't know. Do I need to explain? I mean, the reasons. of
Yes.
why we would need that. Look at that eye. It's like looking left, like the eye's looking left, a
Mhm.
weird face, But anyway,
Very weird.
but that's the same size as Cydonia, by the way. But anyway, so when we consider the face of the Mars, let alone pyramids and everything else, I want people to start questioning even the mountains they see, even the hills they see, and people just go right by if they do study, because when you consider that this whole surface is art sculpted, it may be hard to understand for a little while until you start finding some of the things you people yourselves. And that may be an explanation to, or would be consistent with that nutty idea. Remember, I'm crazy. They wanted you to think and say, okay, I'm crazy, yet they're looking down on all this. Okay, and then they're looking down on you. And yet, who are they trying to kill off now, preventing you from getting there? Okay, enough said. So, that being said, there's a lot of amazing things to see on that surface to consider. And the question of, again, who did it?
Let me run this one by you. All these faces are looking from the surface out into space.
Correct.
So would they not be possibly put there as a message from somebody on the outside of the planet, in space, looking at the planet, seeing like, wait a minute, there's a face, let's go have a look, more like an invitation or a sign that there is intelligent life on the planet? Could it be that's why they put the faces there?
We could turn that around and also say, or is it a warning? Because they want something, it was all meant to be seen.
What kind of a warning?
The only thing I could say that's trying to obfuscate of what they wanted to be seen is not the Martians, but them here taking the pictures that try to make it harder for us to see this, but it is incredible. And the scale of these things, like for instance, what you're seeing right now, this is a couple miles in length,
It's crazy.
like 2.5, 3 miles in length, and so I found one that's even 5, and that's you're crazy. Exactly, Nori. But am I crazy? I don't think so.
No.
I don't know about you, but there's another face.
I totally see that. I totally see. They're very Star Trek, pop sci-fi-ish looking. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's like we've seen them before somewhere,
Right, bizarre. No, I call it like bizarro world. Like for instance, I kind of see a face here, but the problem is whether anyone else does or not. That's okay, right?
I see a baby seal.
Sorry. That's a good way of looking at it. But what else do I see? Look at the geometry. I see another pyramid, and again, it's like a jewel, like you would look at a ruby or a diamond, octagon-ish, and they love octagons, they love circles, they love triangles, they love many different shapes. All of these designs, all these nook and crannies you see run along lines of an art pattern. None of them, it's like, it makes you wonder then, are these really creators? No, I believe no, because they fit within the art, but you would have to be the artist, have the patience to go over every nook and cranny, tracing it out to come to that conclusion. And it gets pretty crazy. There's a better image of it, wow. I kind of see like a 8-bitch looking, like a half face, and it runs into the side of a pyramid. I don't know who it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know if something looks like something. And there's bingo, especially when you have pyramid-shaped mounds or other faces, potential thereof. It doesn't become how many coincidences does it take for something's not a coincidence? The face, they share they share similar techno-signatures in designing. They don't have to look the same. I see those fingerprints, and that's what I've learned to utilize, and that helps me on more finds to see and even predict where I may see something. That don't always work, but it does sometimes, which, I'm not going to knock either. This is an interesting feature. It's just bizarre. I mean, one of the things that kind of reminds me of this a little, but it's not the same, obviously. But, it's just like I'm just showing the various images,
Yep.
So,
let me look at
See.
we look at these, there are other incredible structures too, or lack of structures. Look at the Grand Canyon on Mars. That is about 4 times deeper than the Grand Canyon here on Earth. And there is actually a shape. There's a similarity in shape. How do you think that Grand Canyon on Mars could have come about? Because it doesn't belong there. How could it be that it's there?
Well, it's about the width of the United States. That's the Valles Marineris. And as deep as it is, okay, now some people, before I get into that, some people claim, well, maybe lightning, maybe the battle in Nibiru. I mean, you would need another planetary body as something throwing lightnings off of it. Maybe that's what helped blew up, lightnings that helped blew up Tiamat as described by the Sumerians in the ancient celestial battle, according to their science, being depicted that they had to learn like we do here on Earth and evolve in that sense and pass on his knowledge that, bolts of lightning were also going out of it from one world to another to help cleave it over time as its orbital passes would come close to each other until the blow up. Now, could it be when Mars was near its, if Mars was a moon of that bigger body, was it near it? Did one of these lightnings strike that? I don't buy the lightning theory because, again, I'm seeing a surface that has been artistic, that's metal. Sculpted metal, and when people say there's sandstorms, there's no sandstorms on Mars. Well, no, it happens. No, those are dust storms. And what is that dust primarily made of? Iron oxide. Where do you get rust? From metal. But then again, it comes with water and stuff. So the water has been there. But again, has it always been there? Was it deposited there by the planet blowing up and giving all the wrecking Mars, bringing its planetary debris onto it as well? I don't know. There's many scenarios that people don't even want to look at. They're so married to this ancient alien theory at all costs, like it's some type of cult, instead of looking at all the puzzle pieces when we still have many more questions than there are of answers. But I think that's called progression. The more we progress and study, the more we get answers, if you're serious, right? So these two are kind of similar to each other, a couple pyramid-looking things, and looks like it had a wop on top, or is that deliberately put there, part of the feature? I don't know. Here's another one, square-type pyramid. I mean, boom, the thing on the top, was that deliberate? Or I don't know. I mean, you see also a lot of little craters now. If there was a war there, maybe nukes weren't involved in at totality. Maybe so is other kinetic weaponry. I don't know. This one's interesting. It's a bizarre type face. I don't know if you could see that, but it's like two halves of one, but you could follow the lines in the art. There's geometry all over it. There's purpose, there's designing. You follow these lines and then it's like, okay, I see something you might say is face-like. I mean, I don't know, but look at this. Look where it's near. Look what it's a part of. One would say this might be a riverway, but then what the hell is this, a dam or a bridge? Is that a dam? You know what I mean? And you got, craters that's, again, geometrically shaped. Craters don't have rims of pentagons and or the geometrical shapes. I mean, this is kind of interesting of the types you see there. And remember, we're looking at things that are more than 100 million years old. The decompositional and erosional processes on Earth is so far advanced. Things don't last long here on Earth. It's hard to compare then to what time and its devolutionary process of erosion would have effects, or what type of effects. Certainly, hold on. I accidentally pulled the wire. You still hear me, right?
Then,
do you see it now again?
Yeah,
we still see it.
good.
Now, this image is really interesting. I don't know if you see anything, but I see a pentagonal type pyramid shape, or escaping all over it. You don't have to see that, but you focus on the geometry. Carl Sagan put out a question years ago. How do you look for extraterrestrial intelligence civilizations? People say roads, buildings, cities, like we know of here on Earth. And he's like, okay, but the most common primitive factor would be to look for their geometry. And you see a lot of geometry in these structures, and also the arscapes once you hone in onto that. It takes time, believe me. But notice the right angles, coming to a point that it got like a pentagon shape to it. Look at this cool looking feature nearby. And then look at this. This one also is similar in design, also with a thing kind of similar nearby. It's not the same feature, not the same place. I just wanted to show that, just to show you, wow, there's two features that kind of look similar somewhere else on Mars.
Right.
You can see the way it's designed, and it's cool looking. And also, I say, is a weird type of bizarre face of Mars. It's a little hard to tell sometimes with faces. What it may or may not be. Again, who knows? Maybe, the mindset and designing of whoever created it, that's what we need to ask. But that don't mean if it's not a face, that doesn't mean it's not artificial. We're looking at artificially designed technosignatures. Again, archeological technosignatures, to say the least. Now, this one we call the pie mound. The pie mound. It's
It looks like a trilobite. It looks like a trilobite.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, this one's interesting. That's an interesting outlook on it. But this, to me, others came up with the name that it looks like the pi symbol. Some people also said it looks like the word Yahweh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nori, I'm sorry.
No, it looks like one of the Aramaic letters in the name of God.
Bingo. Now notice straight above this, we got a pyramid sitting there, right?
Yep.
Wrong one. Boom. Now this goes up straight up from the brow of this, we'll say pi, Yahweh name, Hebrew letter word, it goes straight up to the middle of this pyramid. And William Saunders made this, did the measurement, because this is facing due north exactly, straight up. So from this angle, going up to that pyramid and going straight up, the famous 19.5. I could hear Hoagland now. But, again, just because he turned out to be what he begs, that doesn't mean he wasn't wrong on a lot of this other stuff that I believe he should still be pursuing. But that's, I'm crazy. He'll even tell you that. But anyway, there. Pi. And there's your Aramaic.
Hello.
Isn't that interesting, everyone?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Pi and the Hebrew letter. I can see, I guess, how that would fit together. What a techno signature, everyone. Didn't God say in scriptures you can see his handiwork in the heavens?
Hello.
With a signature. And pi. Here's pi in your eye.
My goodness. That's amazing.
Can I lead you somewhere? Something that I would really like your opinion on.
So great.
We know that the NASA has been using the brown filter to make it look like there's a red planet. But then again, the later pictures come back with a blue sky. Blue sky can only be if there's air and water in the air. Otherwise, you would not have blue skies. So if that's the case,
I see that. I've also been told that that's the color of normal light scattering regardless. The water or addition or lack of to that, I don't know how that would apply, but you threw another good point out there that, it's interesting. It is interesting. But go ahead.
And then if we have, which I know we do, but we have air, that's oxygen up there, contrary to what we have been told. That can explain that can explain some of the pictures that Nori and I have on our website where we see trees up there. There is trees, NASA prints showing trees. And in fact, there are, the trees are possibly as tall as 50 meters. That is almost 300 or 250 feet tall. They're clear as a bell. We could, show those pictures some other time. But you've seen those, haven't you?
Oh yes, I have. Of why, Arthur C. Clarke called them trees too, if those are the ones we're talking about, or the ones where it looks like weeds are coming out. And it's hard to tell at some points, but yeah, I've seen them and I can clearly see why someone would see them as such, especially when, again, comparing apples to oranges when you study them to the earth. And by all means possible, they want you to look at Mars as if it was like the earth. But remember, Augie, it ain't Earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now up here in this corner, there's a face turned sideways. I guess I should have took that out and stood it upright, but that's interesting. But yeah, there's so many different things. Again, the source of the water, how long was it there? Why, how was it deposited? Did it have to do with the exploded planet? Did it have to do, I don't know. Or was it there? Because again, you got the chicken or the egg effect going on. You got to ask questions. What came first? And it's hard to determine. Here's a bizarre type of pentagonal type like pyramid. You can clearly see the geometry of it. Weird. And look right above it. You got some type of weird looking, like a weird looking Earth face.
See a heart.
Cool
See a heart.
Structure.
Yeah.
You see a heart?
I do, but that's just me.
Yeah, we see at the top there, there's an indent
Go
at the
inward.
top.
Yes, go inward. There's a heart right there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Neat. Happy Valentine's, Nori.
There you go. Thank you.
And look at this other cool. This whole image has got all incredible things to look at, right? But check this out. Look at some of these bizarre features, like this thing. It's just weird. This captures my eye. And I remember all of this is art sculpted. You could, draw over it yourself, every nook and cranny, come to that conclusion when you have your old time, and you'll see that everything runs into something. Everything's connected, as bizarre as it is. It's just hard to tell and determine that from a newbie or just glancing at it for 10 minutes. Look, this ain't even natural. Look at that thing. Wow, look at all the structure inside this. And what it connects to and it runs to. It's hard to believe this so-called crater here. Look at that, all the designing within it and what's on it. And this is just this particular area. I say that kind of looks like a face, right near a weird looking pyramid. I'm not saying that is a face, everyone. I'm just saying it shares similar consistencies to faces that I have seen. It shares their techno-signature. Now, what was it in the mind of the designer? I don't know. I've yet to, I might have met them, but I didn't get those answered. I didn't ask those questions. I was too worried trying to pull myself out. But anyway, other bizarre type of features, it can be subtly or more pronounced, but when you follow the art, it's just incredible. And then you see like the straight lines of it. There's so much purpose, and a lot of it also acts like camouflage unto itself. That could also be possible, but again, they want this stuff to be seen. So it all depends on other times. That's why I want more data from different times of the year, different times of the day, morning, day, night, different times of the year, or maybe every even 10 years. Part of that theory I was trying to talk about earlier. It's fascinating. You can see the geometry, for instance, this one. No, I excluded the feature over here. That's obviously artificial, but I just wanted to stay pronounced with the main geometry. And then when I put that in,
I see now that. Yeah, I see now we're coming up towards the end of the show.
Wow,
so,
that was fast.
Yeah, so let us know where people can get a hold of you and where they can go to watch your show, and also mention the books that you are working on so they can be looking out for them coming out later.
Yes, I'm going to run through these images as fast as possible. Well, my show's called The Martian Revelation. I'm going to run through these as fast as possible. Look at this crater edge. But anyway, pyramid. But the show is The Martian Revelation. Typically airs Saturday nights at midnight Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Pacific. 10 Central, 10 Mountain, 11 Central. I'm running into some problems with the show. There's some delays. I got to get a new system. And plus, I've been infiltrated. Someone's really trying to pull me off the air. and to
course.
damage my show. So I got to get a new system. So any help on the big donate button on the show, thefacesofmars.com, www.thefacesofmars.com. That'll help that. But there's plenty of archives. I don't think I'm doing the show this weekend, but I know beginning of March, I'll have Dr. Michael Sala on. I'm going to have Dr. Robert Zubrin and also Dr. Ron Levin, Dr. Gill's son. So there's many guests and things I'm working on to come on the show, but I got to have some of these problems solved first with the show, because again, it's being infiltrated and attacked. And especially when we're dealing with images, someone doesn't like it, but you know what? That's just too bad. But it is what I thought you guys were going to kick out of this one. I'm not even going to say what this looks like, but I didn't put it there. The Martians did. I'm going to run through these fast because I want, so you guys can end. I appreciate it. But there's a lot of interesting things there at Mars that demand your attention. And notice we're not focusing on amoebas or microbes or anything at this point throughout all these images. You're focusing on things that you can see, things that should not be there. I mean, that's really incredible of the types of things that you will see that baffles the mind. Some could look consistent, like this one. That's kind of like a four-sided pyramid. It's definitely a pyramid. And, pyramid mounds, different structures. And these are huge. They're not like 600 feet. We're talking a couple miles, a mile or two wide, 3. I mean, that's a recent one I found. It's pretty wild. And that's like 2.5 miles wide. So what about that one? I'm zooming through these, a little 5-sided pyramid I call the Mad Martian pyramid. That George Haas and I have been looking at my buddy Mean Green, my co-producer, buried pyramid there in Cerebus. That's pretty interesting. It reminds you of something you would see in Corral or something in Peru. Very interesting. But again, no, the Martian Revelation air Saturday nights typically. It's crazy, pack them and smoke them. You're definitely going to need them. We're down to earth. We're open, mature audiences only. You got to be mature and to be able to have an open mind and pack them and smoke them anyway, to look and see what's really there. It brings your mind's eye and the perception to see what normally you would have overpassed. So I use pack them and smoke them, not just as a cliche, start partying. No, it's a tool. Yeah, I thought you might like that, huh?
Definitely not natural.
Indeed, and all in a row, ducks in a row, pun intended. So
yeah,
look at that. It looks like an eye. I definitely appreciate the time, and I ran through the images, so I'm glad I had enough of that. Nori, was nice meeting you. Mac, thanks a lot, buddy. Hopefully we get to have more encounters with each other. And let's collaborate sometime if you want on future documentaries. The more that these types of things are seen and focused on from orbit as well as from the surface, I mean, that's what we need. That's what the people need to see, especially now. So again, thank you very much for your time, guys, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Remember, pack them and smoke them. You're definitely going to need them. And the Martian Revelation is upon you all now.
Okay, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Gary.
Good night.
All right.